Hi, I'm Bill Patrick. The program you're about to see is part of a vintage series called Car and Track, which was originally produced during the first half of the 1970s. Before we begin the show, though, a brief program note. Using as many as 8 cameras to shoot a single event, Car and Track captured some of the great NASCAR competitions of the era, one race at a time. Over the course of some 80 episodes through 6 seasons, series producer and host Bud Lindeman lovingly documented a unique era in American motor racing. While the race action contained in the series remains timeless, the program itself has not dated quite so gracefully. Although the years have not been overly kind to Bud's decidedly low-key introductions and interviews, we believe them to be an integral part of this one-of-a-kind series. So please, stay with us now as Speed Vision presents a rare slice of 1970s Americana, Car and Track.
Hi there. We're back again with another 30-minute automotive safari. On the race scene today, we're going to take you to Martinsville, Virginia for the biggest modified stock event of the year. This is the circuit where Chargers are born. Now, our road test special of the week comes from the land of mini cars. And if your thoughts are leaning toward a budget bus, the Cortina GT just might pull your cord. We also have a few glistening beauties from the world of custom cars. They're hand-picked from some of the largest shows around the country. Hey, we'll drop that green flag in just 1 minute. The Cardinal 500 represented a first in many respects. Probably most important, it was the first time any track ever attempted to run modified stockers 500 laps, or 250 miles. Then, too, it was the first time this division ever ran for a purse of over $23,000. Plus the fact that it was our first encounter with these hot little machines. In all of our travels, we have yet to see a finer half-mile track than this one at Martinsville, Virginia. It was smooth, fast, and wide enough to allow for plenty of passing. And with a starting field of 40 modifieds, you need lots of room to let them go. And go they did. This great little half-mile track in Martinsville, Virginia was in excellent condition for the running of the Cardinal 500. A crowd of almost 18,000 race fans were on hand to witness the longest modified race ever staged in the Southland. After the pre-race activities, the drivers climbed aboard. Number 21, Eddie Royster. The point leader and pole sitter, Carl Bug Stevens from Rehoboth, Massachusetts. Driving a 36 Plymouth, number 53, Hank Thomas from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. With a signal from the NASCAR officials, all cars move out on the track for the parade lap. Bug Stevens and Eddie Royster in the first row. Number 53, Hank Thomas, and the double O car, Fred DeSaro, in the second row. Then it's number 38, Jerry Cook from Rome, New York. Alongside is the Connecticut boy, Gene Bergen, driving number 40. The favorite in this race is Ray Hendrick in car number 11. He was plagued with chassis problems on Friday and was unable to compete in time trials. However, he did win a qualifying race on Saturday, thus allowing him to start in the 21st position. All cars holding position well as they growl out of the fourth turn and fire down the front chute for the green flag. Bug Stevens in car number 3 came off the pole like he was launched out of a slingshot. Eddie Royster in the Ford number 21 is second, with Fred DeSaro third. Watch that number 40. He has handling problems. The car is smoking through every turn. He lost it. Gene Bergen, the driver, he horsed it a little too hard through the fourth pocket and spun out in heavy traffic. But he's all right and heads into the pits. Down the back chute, Hendricks is on the move as he passes Jerry Chamberlain's Mustang, number 31. Kenny Rush in number 64 came into the pits after spinning out. His crew changed rubber and have him out in 43 seconds. Hey, that's about as close as you ever want to come. Another Winston-Salem driver, Max Barrier, in car number 12, blew the right rear tire coming into the third turn and almost put it into the wall. In the pits, his crew go over that little 37 Chevy from bumper to bumper, change the tire, add fuel, clean the windshield, and Barrier goes back in the race. Bug Stevens, driving that 36 Chevy number 3, the modified point leader, is still out in front. But now, Ray Hendricks and Sonny Hutchins are both up battling for the number 2 spot. Number 53, Hank Thomas, brings his 36 Plymouth in for fuel and right side rubber. He was running in the 2nd position, developed ignition trouble, and dropped down to 5th just before pitting. Ray Hendrick in car number 11 has been running a beautiful race, moving up from the 21st position to 2nd place. He's right on top of Bugs and charges him in every corner of the racetrack. He did it! And the crowd goes wild. Hendrick pulled a slingshot out of the 4th turn and took Stevens on the high side right in front of the grandstand. Number 64, Kenny Rush, lost it again, but he managed to keep it off the wall and goes back in the scramble. Man, oh man, these boys just plain love to race. Ed Flemke in the 02 car comes into the pits for new rubber and fuel. We just noticed the blonde member of his crew, NASCAR's Grand National Rookie of the Year, Pete Hamilton. Pete started in cars just like this. Now he's part of the Dodge team. Here's the Chevy number 3, Buck Stevens, in for his first scheduled pit stop. He has a fine crew, and they have him out in 29 seconds, and that's fast for modified. Another one goes wild in the first turn. The 63 Falcon, driven by Al Grennan, spins all the way around and ends up on the grass. He lost it in heavy traffic, never got touched, and goes back in the race. Here's the Virginia Flash. Ray Hendrick powers his number 11 through the turn and down the front chute. He has that 37 Chevy handling perfectly. It seems to be stretching his lead. Now Eddie Royster pulls his Ford in for fuel. There's trouble down there. The car's on fire. Eddie scrambles out as they hit it with the extinguisher. These fire crews are right on their toes. That blaze never really got started. Royster tells his crew, this car is hotter than ever now. Let's get it back on the track. He climbs in and buckles up while they change the right rear tire. Eddie hails from Middleburg, North Carolina, and does a good job in NASCAR's modified division. He's at the 2nd fastest time for today's race with a 22.57. Jerry Compton, driving a 37 Ford, lost it in the 3rd turn, slid up high and smashed against the guardrail. Jerry is all right and gets out, but his car won't see any more action today. The pace car leads the entire field around slowly under the caution flag while the wrecker takes Compton's car off the track. The leader, Ray Hendrick, takes this opportunity for a badly needed pit stop. His crew refuels an almost empty tank and puts on new outside rubber. Ray relaxes for a few seconds with a cup of cold water, but with a $23,000 purse dangling in front of them, they get that car out in record time. Thomas drives his 36 Plymouth behind the wall and climbs out. This long race, coupled with a blistering pace, is taking its toll on several of the cars. Thomas's car goes out due to engine failure. Ed Flemke hops out of his 36 Chevy, another engine that couldn't take the grind. The crew push it behind the wall and out of the race. Suddenly, the number 1 turn looks like Times Square. Number 93, Bob Melnick, and the number 13 Mustang, driven by Bobby John, tangled coming into the turn. Both cars spun. Apparently, Melnick's car is all right as he comes down off the high side and heads back into the race. But that Mustang is going to need a little help. With the yellow out again, Eddie Royster screams into the pits. No fire, no trouble this time. Just a good, fast, routine stop for fuel. Ray Hendrick has stretched his lead over a half a lap on Bug Stevens. The double O car with DeSaro aboard is running third, and number 23, Billy Hensley from Ridgeway, Virginia, is in the 4th spot. Look out in the first turn. Car number 21, driven by Eddie Royster, came wide and high into turn 1. He lost it and slammed hard into the concrete retaining wall. With the yellow flag out, the cleanup crew goes to work on the track. Eddie totaled the front end on that Ford. Those cars just aren't built to take out 6 feet of cement wall and keep on running. The officials just gave the signal that Royster is all right. He can watch the rest of this race from the pits. Most of the field falls in behind the pace car, while some of the others take this chance to head into the pit area for much-needed repairs and refueling. 500 laps on a half-mile track in heavy traffic takes the best a driver and car have to offer. A dejected Eddie Royster walks back to the garage area, already talking about a new car for the next big race. The starter tosses the green flag out once again. Ray Hendrick is still a boy to catch. Stevens is running in the number 2 spot with number 98, Harris, third. The yellow flag was out for a total of 14 laps during the Royster accident, and these boys are eager to get to the finish line. Another spinner and another yellow flag. This is where the action is today. It seems that every race at Martinsville is a thriller right down to the wire. It was Bob Burnell that time in car number 57, and he heads back to the pits. On the restart, Hendrick pours it on and stretches his lead over Bug Stevens to 3/4 of a lap. That number 11 Chevy seems to run stronger on every lap. He pounds down out of the 4th turn and onto the front chute for the white flag. One more lap, and this one will be history. Wide sweeping turn onto the bank 4th pocket. Hendrick is still running flat out. Here he is down the grandstand straight for the checkered flag, the winner of the 1st annual Cardinal 500. Ray Hendrick, the crowd pleaser from Richmond, Virginia, drove that little 37 Chevrolet from the 21st starting position to the number 1 spot in one of the wildest modified races ever staged in the Southland. An arm-weary but very happy driver pulls up into victory lane. The 2nd place money went to Carl Bug Stevens, who also clinched the 1968 point title. Ray was greeted by his wife, the press, a huge silver trophy, and a man with a check for $3,810. Hey, maybe that's why he's smiling. You know, our road tests on Car and Track have always run the automotive gamut, from the big luxury cars to the small economy runabouts. Well, in this latter class, we were most concerned with finding a compact that gave good, typical small car economy and at the same time would give a good accounting on the performance side of the ledger. Well, the combination is difficult to come by, to say the least. After driving several cars in this category, we felt that possibly the Ford Cortina best displayed this dual personality. Take a look. Despite the competition wins racked up by the Cortina in sedan racing around the world, as well as the general overall performance, it still remains an under-promoted car by American standards. Though the Cortina looks like it's still in the shipping crate, this little wagon is nonetheless a quickie. and is capable of giving a few less expensive sports cars fits in a traffic light race, and even has the ability to cause a few additional eyes to pop in a give-and-take road course battle. More Cortinas have probably been sold by word-of-mouth advertising than by high-pressure salesmanship. Here's a little four-banger that breathes a lot of life into this GT. Displacement is a little over 97 cubic inches, delivering 71 horsepower at 5,000 RPMs. The engine sits on top of a 5-bearing crankshaft, plus a revolutionary new bowl and piston combustion chamber, placing the chamber in the piston crown, giving greater control over the shape, volume, and surface finish of the chamber. On the track and highway, this mill delivers about 26 miles per gallon. Another reason for the excellent handling on the track was undoubtedly due to these 165 by 13 radial ply tires mounted all the way around. The wheel tread in front is 52.5 inches, 51 inches in the rear, with a 98-inch wheelbase. Inside air is exhausted through these vents in the rear. On a compact economy car, items like flow-through ventilation are really a rarity. With the aid of the adjustable vents on the dash, circulation of air can be maintained without opening the windows. If you have a lot of luggage, you might have to hire a packaging expert to load the trunk. There's 21 cubic feet of space with a spare tire aboard. However, we did load a surprising amount of photographic equipment in here. Legroom in front is plentiful. We had several long-legged drivers in the car while we had it. They all said they felt quite comfortable. But when you have the seat all the way back, you'd better have a shorty in the rear. The vinyl-covered bucket seats up front are all foam padded and quite comfortable. Back support was good. The center armrest console goes a long way toward anchoring you in place during hard cornering. The seats in the rear are only fair. Our dash on the GT was full of wonderful gauges. No lights, just instruments, and that's nice. We shortened up the distance between the cones on the pilot course, and our tester ran through them like it was on a rail. No matter how hard we pushed it, the inside front wheel never lifted. Handling was the strongest port this GT had. The suspension on the GT is a little beefier than the standard Cortina. In the front, they use independent coil springs with double-acting hydraulic shocks and a stiffer, fatter stabilizer bar. In the tail end, they employ leaf-type rear springs, double-acting shocks, plus traction arms that drive the rear wheels right into the asphalt. Considering the fact that we only had 97 cubes and 71 horses working under the hood, acceleration times were fairly respectable. We had 30 miles an hour in 4.4 seconds. Our GT came up with a 4-speed all-synchro transmission, plus a heavy-duty drive shaft, a 3.9 to 1 rear axle ratio. On the 45-mile-an-hour run, we stopped the clock in 8 seconds flat. The throw of the stick shift was fast, easy, and positive. On our third time out of the hole, we popped the clutch and blew 65 in about 12 seconds. When we hit the binders on the braking course from 30 miles an hour, we stopped in 27 feet. All Cortina models have disc brakes up front. On the GT, they're a little bigger, 9 5/8 inches, and they're self-adjusting hydraulic type. In the rear, we had 9-inch internal expanding drums. The combination worked well, and we threw the anchor out at 65. We stopped in 148 feet. Riding qualities were fair. A short wheelbase and heavy-duty suspension is just not conducive to comfort, especially on long trips. But this car is born and bred for performance, and it really shines on a track. Under hard, high-speed performance, handling was great. It goes wherever you point it. In fast cornering, the rear end breaks loose just about right, and recovery is very smooth. The Cortina may look like a lot of other compacts. The difference ends there. It's the product of a racing heritage that includes over 500 wins in international competition. If you're looking for an economy car that won't eat everyone else's dust, then you might want to try the liveliest little dirt kicker in the whole GT world. Some of our more enjoyable moments have been spent covering custom car shows. Each one seems to be a world of styling fantasy. We've spent many hours editing this auto show film, and in the next few weeks on Car and Track, we're going to feature a few of the best from many of the top shows. Well, like these. This one was given birth by the Alexander brothers, a practical custom pickup called the Dodge Diora, featuring a radical front end and off-center steering. The tailgate sports walnut paneling and sequentially operated taillights. By the way, this vehicle is driven on the streets regularly. The entire roofline was changed after they chopped, sectioned, and lowered it. The interior is lavishly done in black Naugahyde. The exterior was done in a sparkling candy gold lacquer. The engine was ported through these side exhausts. The Diora was campaigned in shows from coast to coast and was considered to be one of the year's finest customs. This is Jack Webb's showstopper, affectionately called Jack's Casket, a Class AH street roadster powered by an Oldsmobile rocket engine. This front end caught our eye. That grille, at one time, belonged on a Graham Page. The car glistened under 33 coats of candy apple lacquer and took more than its share of trophies. If color alone could win a show, this Firebird would take them all going away. Owned by Keith and Paula Bryant, this bird is called the Hallucination. The car was done in candy purple and Murano pear, featuring lavender pearly panels with gold leaf patterned flames. This unbelievable paint job was done by Thompson Hall Customs out of Kansas City. The price was not mentioned. Dick Scritchfield and the Los Angeles Roadsters displayed this car in all of the top shows across the country and also won the Carcraft Magazine Project of the Year award. They really bent their budget in this goodie compartment. Weber carbs, Mallory ignition, Iskey cam, to mention just a few of the items that were hung on this 327 cubic inch Chevy engine. This sunshine yellow automotive Shangri-La rode on Goodyear tires mounted on Krager wheels. Many dollars, hundreds of hours, and several pounds of tender love and care went into the building of this one, and it was a gem. The Stiletto is perhaps the most radical concept in custom car design. It all began with a Corvair. Gene Baker designed the car, and customizer Ron Gerstner built it. A birdcage was built of rectangular tubing and welded to the rear cross member of the Corvair. The enclosed rear wheels, hidden headlights, and full belly pan allow for the uncluttered sweeping lines. This complex curved plexiglass canopy covering the cockpit is an integral part of the overall styling. The Corvair engine and transmission were retained, and today the Stiletto has become a stepping stone into the ranks of the big-name customizers.